People are worried that Jimin might be in danger and he might get really hurt. We also have people talking about V contributing to the hospital, and then we have people talking about BTS's funeral arrangements. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Disci. Let's get into it. This is a very interesting story. I was actually very surprised that this was something that was happening. Apparently funeral things are being sold in the BTS members' logos and names. And it's not just BTS, it's done with Blackpink, Twice, and various other groups, and I was definitely amazed that this was allowed, if it was. And I'm wondering if one of the reasons why it could be allowed was because a lot of people in the community were already doing this for their funeral. I don't really know, but we're going to get into all of these questions about this and what this is really about. So pretty much any really big group right now, it looks like they're covering this package that you can pay a little less than $10,000 to get an urn that is logoed with your favorite K-pop group, as well as a casket and the wreath and all that stuff. This would definitely be an interesting service, I would say, and I guess if the person who passed was a big K-pop fan and they dedicate their life to serving their favorite K-pop idol, this is probably something that they would want, and it definitely feels a bit cultish. Like, I think liking a K-pop group and having their pictures in your room or buying their merch, that's fine. But having a funeral definitely feels a little bit cultish. Or maybe I'm a bad person for saying that, but that's how I feel. But to each their own. I'm not going to hate on it if someone does choose to do that and that's what they want to do. And also the price, $10,000 for the service, is pretty inexpensive, or not that bad. Also, some of them aren't even 10,000, they're around like 8,000. So I'd say it's pretty affordable for a funeral service. Now, when a bunch of these pictures came out and a lot of people were making comments and people were making jokes about it, a lot of people were wondering about the legitimacy of it. Now, tucked away in the funeral service website or page, and it's in the Hypen funeral package, talked about how a lot of these things are fan edits and fictionalized rather than anything that is true. But while it's fictionalized, is this something that the company themselves actually can't do, or is this something that they don't ever want to do? It leaves it up for interpretation, in my opinion, and it makes it feel like they could possibly arrange for this, but if any person would want to do it, they just haven't done it yet, and this is more of a concept on what they can do. And they talk about how the edits was more like a fan edit rather than anything that was real, and that is totally possible too. Someone could have picked a really popular funeral service website and then just tagged their name onto the fan edit. And of course, if this was allowed, then it would be pretty amazing that the labels would allow this to happen. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's probably a little bit different from other people and what they would do. So I think you could possibly message them if you wanted to do it privately, but maybe they can't publicly advertise that they do this because it would be trademark infringement or something. Or maybe if they ask the label will be all for it. If they would just take a big cut, I don't know, because anytime someone does a funeral service, the label could potentially make a couple thousands of dollars depending on the package that they have. People were also surprised at some of the other things that the BTS boys and maybe some of the other K-pop groups have been trending for recently. For instance, V recently posted a photo of himself showing off his body, but people actually started to look into the photo a little bit more. So it was initially just people freaking out about how buff V looked, and then people noticed the jewelry and the clothes that he was wearing, and they had a lot of thoughts about that. Of course, anything that he wears is going to be looked into, and potentially people are going to want to buy it. So when he wore a bracelet, people wanted to figure out where it was from. People connected the bracelet that he was wearing to a bracelet that was found on the website of Save the Children. So this is an organization that helps children. I'm sure they help children in multiple ways. One of the ways that they do this is to help children in the hospital. Other things are disaster relief and pretty much any way that they can help children. I know this is a dark subject, but in my mind, it immediately went to a disaster, and then they're just going to save the children and be like, nope, leave the parents there. I don't think that that's what they'll do, but in my mind, it went to something funny. The boys have been pretty open about their philanthropic work just throughout their career, and one of the things that the boys have done a lot is to provide a lot of help to children and people in need. So people were saying that he definitely has been seen in the hospital, he has been seen donating to the hospital, and he has been seen doing the most to help kids. And the thing is, the boys definitely realize the work that they're doing. They definitely realize the impact and why they're doing what they're doing. But I think a lot of people don't realize that in times of need, everyone looks towards the wealthiest people in the world. Those are the people that are actually going to be able to help, and I can understand a lot of people who are just newly famous or newly rich to not really be aware of how rich they are, or really be aware that they have the power to help. But when you're rich for a really long time, you should then start to be aware. There should not still be that blind mindset of let me just skimp and save every dollar that I have because I need to become rich. Once the bank account starts showing 6 zeros, you might want to consider doing a lot more philanthropic work. I think that this is amazing because it definitely raises more awareness, and V is definitely aware of that. He would not be wearing a piece of jewelry that represented something much worse, like maybe something satanic, I don't know. He's wearing something that he is fully aware that people are going to look up, and when they do, they might decide to buy the bracelet, which of course is going to help the organization, or they might just decide to contribute to the organization directly because they read the bio of the organization, they feel so touched that the organization exists, and they feel touched that V is promoting it. Having influence like this is definitely a privilege, and it's something that I know the boys do not take for granted. They know that people are looking into these things that they do, and they proudly wear the things that they need to wear to represent the things that they want to represent, which is very cool. Now, these are both really positive, I guess more fun news stories, but we're going to have to get into something that is a little bit negative and something that is absolutely crazy. I was shocked to see something like this online. Like, I felt like the wind was taken out of my lungs. I felt like I was punched because I could not believe that these were things and conversations that were being had online with thousands and thousands of people agreeing with them. There are people who say that they ship V and JK so much that they would kill Jimin to keep V and JK around or in love. This is all centered around the idea that the two biggest ships that currently exist are V and JK and Jimin and JK. Of course, in either community, whether you believe in Jimin and JK or you believe in V and JK, there is that other member, either V or Jimin, that you don't want around because you feel like they're going to ruin the relationship. All this over a relationship that has not been proven yet. But I can't believe this is something that outwardly is being said, that they would like openly want to kill another member. And this is something that's being openly liked. It's usually a lot more nuanced or hidden that someone has this feeling and they don't outwardly ever say it. There's of course a lot of comments that are a little bit more hidden, things like Jimin and Jimin fans are useless, but then saying that they need to be killed altogether because they don't do anything for BTS, which of course is obviously not true. And it gets so much more delusional as there are people who genuinely believe that Jimin is useless or doesn't do anything, and that he is the poorest of the member, or that he's poorer than most of us, when in reality he is richer than any of us will ever be or could imagine. Now, of course, the most shocking part that I had seen was a post talking about how they wanted to shoot Jimin and they potentially wanted to enter the military to try to end his life. This, of course, is going way too far, but I don't even mean the act of pulling the trigger is going way too far, because obviously, but I mean the act of even just posting this is going way too far. I mean, if Jimin wanted to take legal action on this or get the cops involved, this is something that the authorities could 100% arrest the person posting this for. I genuinely want to know what the thought process behind people who write things like this are. Are they okay at home? Obviously not, but what makes them feel like this is something that is acceptable to do? I have never in my wildest imaginations ever wanted to put a gun to a celebrity's head. I've never wanted to put a gun to someone who I literally did not know. We all have people that we want to not exist anymore. I'm sure it's people who have screwed us over, people who are really mean to us, and we probably imagine things like this happening to them or us doing those things to them. That's totally fine as long as you don't act on that. But those are people that you know, and you hate them for likely good reasons because they probably screwed you over, right? But people who you don't know, people who you've literally never met in your entire life, wishing to shoot them in the head and over something that doesn't even affect them personally. It's not like Jimin went out of his way to do something personally to hurt this person. There's just no explanation, and these are the people who I do not think are mentally stable enough to be living in society. I do think that they should be put in a mental hospital or put in prison. They should not be out and about and have this freedom, because it's going from saying things like this openly and thinking that it's acceptable to them, because and then actually doing this to someone that they know. And it will move towards there because they're getting thousands of likes on these posts. They're at one point going to think that this is okay and these are acceptable actions to actually go through with. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.